So thank you everybody for tuning into a Global from Asia podcast. For those that are watching, we're trying video. I was inspired by a podcast with our guest today, Kristina from Sermondo. So thank you for being here, Kristina.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm happy to be part of this.
Sure. We're both passionate content creators, and I'm really excited to have you. It's, I know how much work it takes to create shows, and also we're going to have some fun topics today. Do you want to, before we get started, Kristina, introduce yourself to our viewers or listeners?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So I'm Kristina. I'm Business Development Manager at Sermondo. For those who don't know what Sermondo is, it's a global directory platform for service providers that are specialized in working with Amazon businesses. So yeah, you can basically find any service you may need on our platform to grow your business.
Great. Yeah, so we've been following each other's stories of businesses over the past year or so, a little bit, and it's been, you guys are very helpful in the community with content and events and everything. So it's great to be on our show today. So basically, we are going to have kind of an open conversation. I have a rough outline, but just for a lot of times there's this development, like you said, Amazon sellers, or we could say people doing online business. I think it's really a definition of how people find solutions. So maybe, do you want to share your history with, dealing with online sellers and service providers in the industry?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So I'm doing Sermondo together with Tobias, who's the founder. And we've been friends for a decade now. And awesome. I helped him during that time when he was an Amazon seller. So I've seen a lot. And of course, I also try to help him a little bit out with finding right service providers and like all around his business. And then something happened. He tried to find a good fulfillment center here in Germany. Mm-hmm. And they promised him to deliver his parcels and everything within 2 or 3 days. And then it took them 3 to 4 weeks. So obviously it cost him a lot of money. Like his seller performance went down, everything that's attached to it. And this was not the only case where we had like troubles finding the right service providers to work with. We also had a product photographer who promised the best quality photos. We ended up paying like 500 euros. And yeah, we couldn't use the images because they were a bit crappy. You can say that.
No.
So yeah, that's when we started trying to find a solution. Where can we find the best service providers? We even asked some friends, like seller friends, what they are recommending. And this is when I discovered that there are a lot of horror stories behind that, like people asking for recommendations on Facebook groups for freight forwarders, for example, and getting like screwed over, ghosted, you name it, And that's actually how the idea for Sermondo was born, trying to build a transparent platform where Amazon sellers can compare all the services that are out there. So that's my journey.
That sounds good. Maybe I'll share a little bit my experiences. Yeah, I think a lot of us start with, Alibaba Global Sources. And for me, yeah, I was trying to find suppliers there. They existed even in 2005, 2006 when I was first trying to get into China and grow my business. Actually, I didn't even know what a fulfillment center was at that time. I didn't put this in my show notes, but I had a professor from my college. I was already graduated, but he was like he was one of the coolest he wasn't, because he wasn't a professor. He was actually like one of these corporate guys that did some guest lectures at our school. So I remember I was talking to him about all these fulfillment problems I was having. I was doing eBay at the time and my website. And he's like, "Oh, find a third-party fulfillment." And I didn't even know what that was. So I was like Google Google searching, and we were like trying to find. I had my partner Andrew at the time. We're trying to find people, and I don't know, Christine, did you ever use MySpace?
Oh
Do
yeah,
you know what that is?
but only for like 6 months, and then I think we all everyone
Switched to
turned to
Facebook.
Facebook. Yeah.
I always joke with people. I like Facebook. I mean, not Facebook. MySpace has a bad rap, but I met a lot of. I was doing my like biz dev on MySpace in
Oh really?
2006. I met a lot of people in the industry selling online. Um, I was selling bar supplies, so basically, yeah, like it's true. Like people were just asking around, and at, it got bad because, like you said, like I introduced sometimes people. Fulfillment and logistics is very tricky, though, and to defend that service provider for you guys, I don't know. It's hard to control sometimes shipments as a logistics company. I'm not a logistics company myself, but it's tricky, you know. So sometimes I would make introductions and it would turn out bad. And they would blame me. Honestly, that was maybe later than 2007. I maybe it was in China in 2008, 2009, and people would come back to me after making an intro where I was just kind of helping out, you know. And sometimes the logistics went bad, but that's my quick journey, you know. MySpace. I still have my page, but I don't know if I want to admit it because it still has some incriminating photos, I think, that I might not want to share. Yeah, I was not thinking clearly. I guess I think they deleted everything,
Oh
but
no.
I think MySpace got bought out and now they're like a music thing, or I think my
Yeah.
profile's. But anyway, so of course we have your solution, Sermondo, but honestly, I still think not enough people are using it, right? I still think people. How do you still see people? I still think people. Or maybe you can share how you see sellers finding service providers even till today. You know, and I
So
can share mine.
I think there are some, like the biggest ones are word of mouth and recommendations of friends, just what you mentioned right now. But I think there's one problem there. If you use that service and you recommend it to someone else, it doesn't mean that that the service is as good to the other person as it was to
Mm-hmm.
you. You really, if you want to make an intro, you really have to trust that service provider.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you do, let's imagine you're in the beauty niche on Amazon, for example, and you have a great consulting service or you have a great freight forwarder, and then you have a friend and he's selling products in this whole other category and he has the super complex product, not just makeup brushes. So maybe your freight forwarder is really familiar with your kind of product, but not with handling the logistics for a more complex product. So it might be that your friend has a super bad experience with that freight forwarder, even though you would give him 5 stars. So this is one big issue I see there, but I think it's still better than Facebook recommendations.
True. Yeah, and in my world, it's WeChat. I don't know. Actually, do you? I don't think we've connected on WeChat, but here in China, I'm technically today recording in Shenzhen, China. Usually, I'm down in Thailand lately, but it's all about WeChat groups. It seems, or WeChat in China. So it's similar to Facebook. I'm sure most listeners must have at least heard of WeChat, but in here, it's like these groups, and they're like, yeah, you still see it. You know, they're like, hi, does anybody have a logistics company to recommend for UK or, and then it's crazy because it's a group, but it's like, man, you're like, the logistics is the most important part. I don't know. I think it's probably, I guess, I think the two most common service providers are like, for sellers, I think is payments, like banking or payments, and maybe taxes or VAT, especially in Europe. But logistics, I think, is probably the most important because if you can't deliver, well, of course you got to get quality, you got to find a product QC, but I still think, logistics is the main business of getting your product from
A to B.
A to B, right? And you're just going to shoot some message into a WeChat group or a Facebook group, be like, hi, does anybody here, random person, going to recommend a service provider for my, the whole part of my my business.
That will
It's really
handle
scary.
my 10K shipment, and then you
Yeah, right. I'm gonna
ask this random
at least
person.
usually, yeah, it's like at least 10,000, and I guess that person takes. I've even seen others respond like, or I even sometimes respond to people like, I don't want to recommend even my own because it's like I said, I got blamed before, so it's like it's they didn't really blame me, but they CC me on these emails, start CCing me on the emails,
Yeah,
and then they're like, I just want to make you aware, Mike, that this company is like I think it was something bad. Like it was like a delayed shipment in fourth quarter or something. And I just want you to know this. I just think you should be aware of this too. And he's like just CCing me on the email with the service provider. Uh, so it's like kind of awkward. I'm like, what am I supposed to say here? I know it sucks. And, but especially it's a dangerous one, right? So, I mean, somebody
yeah,
just recommend is, and then usually you'll see the service providers themselves, saying that they're there, right? And then they'll add the person and then sell to the person. Um, Even in WeChat, we have a bunch of WeChat groups, and sometimes they say, does somebody have a factory for headphones one time? I won't say his name, but he might be listening, and he was complaining because he got so many people adding him and spamming messaging him because he's the buyer, right? So
yeah,
they're the factory or the trading company, so they're like, this guy's a customer. So
yeah.
he's like, please stop messaging me. And he even complained to me because I was the group moderator to like tell this person to stop. So it's also tricky because you're saying, hi, I'm a lead, hi, I'm a
That's the
potential
thing.
customer
Yeah, that's the
publicly
thing.
in a group, right, where people can openly add you and message you. So I think that's also something to talk about, right? Like you don't want
Yeah, I
everybody to
mean,
know what you're.
I've seen this a lot, and I still see it every day that people are like, "Hey, can someone recommend a great freight forwarder?" And then I swear to God, within 3 minutes, there are like 40 comments under that
Yeah,
post. I mean, of course, it's a seller group with 40 to 50,000 people on there. So yeah, and those people are also complaining, like, please stop messaging me. And I experienced the same before. I wanted to conduct an interview with a product photographer because I just wanted to share some content with our audience. So I typed in, "Hey, does anyone know an experienced product photographer?" And even then, I think I got like 70 messages from random people like, "Yeah, I'm doing product photography. I'm doing product photography." I mean, how are you supposed to choose from that selection?
I know.
And another problem that I'm seeing, I mean, sometimes I think it's funny because those people are bad at hiding it. But I mean, and I would say in 90% of all cases, those people writing you a recommendation or giving you a recommendation are financially involved. They either get,
uh
of course, referral fees. They're like, yeah, use this
yeah,
service and maybe also use this
affiliate
affiliate
link.
code or affiliate link.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Or sometimes
Or
even the people say like, yeah, try the ABC company, and then you click on their profile and it just says like founder of ABC company. So people are
yeah,
just recommending themselves and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's tricky. I think it's a
that
tricky.
is true. It's tricky because then, well, actually, it's sometimes why I don't want to make a recommendation because I don't get an affiliate commission a lot on logistics, and then they'll blame me or they'll think I get commission, and then but then you also see sometimes in the groups like, oh, if you go to such and such company, tell them I sent you, like the person in the group, and then you wonder, they'll say, oh, they'll take care of you if you say my name.
They
I literally had that today, actually. I literally had that today. Um, they're like, oh, it was for a Taiwan accountant, and he's like, oh, I asked the guy because I know he's there, and he's listening. I don't hope he's not embarrassed and I can call him out. And I don't know, maybe he's getting commission or not, but he uses their service. So he's like, tell them that I, from company name, sent you. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, but do you say it? Because I guess it's okay. I guess it's okay. Makes a commission, right? If we use them. But then at the same time, does
it
that
just feels
mean
weird. It's like,
it's weird,
are
right?
they really good? Are you recommending them to me because they're really good, or are you recommending them to me because you get 50, $100 or maybe even
Yeah.
thousands, depending on the value of the service. But yeah, I know what you mean.
And then I have another one because I do some events. We have the summit and everything, and maybe Christine, give me your feedback. So I invite speakers, right? And we try to get good content, just like the show. And I've had people complain to me as the event organizer that I'm inviting such and such a speaker because this person has done bad service to them or someone they know, and I should not allow them to speak at this event. What would well, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I had some, not too often, but it's been a few years I've been doing different events, so I don't know how to handle that actually, because it's true. He says it's my responsibility. Actually, there's some pretty strong people that have some. They're like after some people, it seems, but I even did a call with that person, and then I'm like, I don't know. I mean, this person's already committed. They're already coming. It's like a month away or whatever. And he says my responsibility as the event organizer to I don't know what did we just say, but it's my responsibility.
I think that every service provider, every company has had a bad experience with a
True.
customer before, or at least 99% of them. So I think you can please anyone. I mean, if you have a mob saying like, no, don't let this person speak at your event, like maybe more than one person saying this, and there's like proof like this person scammed me or took my money and never delivered any service, then of course I would go investigate it further. But if there's just one person complaining because they feel like they've been treated bad by that speaker or service provider,
True.
then I would just say go with your gut. I mean, do you know that person like for a longer
Yeah.
period of time?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like you were kind of saying too. I think anybody doing any business, even an Amazon seller, you sell a broken product by mistake,
Yeah.
or you, like I said, I've had I think I still am a partner in a CPA company in Hong Kong, and it was horrible because I would help set up companies, and then of course people want a bank account, and as I think Hong Kong banking was still very strict, so people would get mad at me because they didn't get approved for the bank account, and they said that I said I could help them, and of course, man, I think me, I'm trying my best, but I
Yeah.
can't. And then so there's probably some people maybe not happy with me, honestly, over the years. I mean, I think it just happens. I guess it's the best, probably more the way you deal with it, right? Like as a business person, and hopefully you're just standing behind the terms that you had with your agreements, right? Whether it's a refund policy or a other ways. So I think but I think yeah, like
And
anyway,
also,
that
I mean,
person spoke. That person spoke actually, so
yeah,
it
I
was
mean,
actually a previous event.
and it's not like that you're going out there and saying like, go hire this guy, he delivers the best service or whatever. This person just delivers content for your event, so
Yeah,
you're not really uh
yeah.
promoting him in a big way. It's just he shares his knowledge and his experience, and then I mean, people can decide for themselves who they want to work
Yeah, so let's go into, I think the other challenge is, like you said, $10,000 order maybe for shipping a product order or something for fulfillment or logistics. I don't think everybody has the ability to go and visit the office, right? Actually, we could talk about Chinese service providers or China business. In China, everybody like visits offices
with. Yeah.
first, or a lot of times. But I think for sellers around the world, Westerners, we trust easily, I think, right? So I think people, do you see people visiting these offices for these companies, or how do you think people could even get to know somebody before they decide who to
Um,
use?
so as you say, for a lot of people, it's hard go to the person's office, go to the service provider's office, and check out how they work and how their team is, because even when you're in Europe, just going from Germany to Spain, for some people it's too expensive when they're just starting out. So I think an important part is trying to find a small selection of service providers. Let's stick to the example of maybe, well, let's say you want to find an Amazon SEO consultant in another country, because I'm a German seller and I want to sell my products in Spain, for example. So of course I need someone who knows the language very well, knows how to do SEO. So what you can do upfront is trying to compare online. I mean, I don't want to promote Sermondo too much on here, but you could go
Well,
to Sermondo
we
or
can talk
other
about it.
or other marketplaces.
Yeah, sure. You can talk about yours, and then of course people could use other potential solutions too. But yeah,
Yeah,
you
just
can go
trying
ahead.
to get as many feedback on those service providers as you can get, and then have a small selection of maybe three of them, three SEO consultants or agencies. And then I think it's very important to have personal contact, not just by mail or, I don't know, by LinkedIn or something, but really getting on a Zoom call, a Skype call, trying to see them face to face, how they react to your questions. I think that's a super important part. If you ask questions that you want to get answered and you ask them by mail, and they have like 2 hours to respond and they take their time, and of course there's no company that wants to say the wrong thing to a potential client. But if you're like on a call with them and you ask the question and you can see if they're comfortable with answering straight away and being honest, that's a good indicator for working with them. If they try to, I don't know, sneak out of the question, change the topic, they don't want to say how many customers they served before, whatever, then I think you will get the feeling if this is a good service provider or not. So
True. Um, yeah, to talk about your service, Sermondo. I mean, like you said, I think sellers, at least in Asia, we would just say find an Amazon Europe consultant or help. But I think with services, you can get really granular, and you could dig deep into like German market or Spanish market individually, which is pretty cool. You just made me think of that, because I mean, for me, usually think about working with an agency that does all, or I think that's a complex part about Europe is there's so many languages. So
yeah.
maybe you could even find specialists in each language with a platform. Um,
And also what you mentioned before, like the whole tax system, VAT and everything, it differs just so much from country to country. It's I think it's for example, it's super important to have someone who really knows the local law. I mean,
True.
of course, there are also agencies that offer doing VAT for all European marketplaces, but of course, you also need to find the right agency that does this. So, and I mean, there are also dozens of agencies, and all claim that they are the best, the cheapest, the fastest.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Uh, I'm the expensive and worst. Didn't you know?
you're what?
I'm the most expensive and the worst service.
I read about that.
Yeah, I think I saw that on Sermondo, something like that. Um, so
What do you think of Google search when people just hop on Google and try to find services there?
I think I'm an internet marketer. I love Google search optimization. That's kind of my skill. I'm of course talking a lot about Amazon, but I'm still more like global from Asia and our content. I try to work hard to rank in Google, and mm, the reason I love it because people believe the top results are like the best.
Yeah,
I've
that's the thing.
talked to a lot of people about it. So, like, I rank in Google for a service. We have the Hong Kong address service. Just literally today, somebody signed up, and you know, uh, they don't look. I don't think people search so much. I still think people search Google. They're not going to go past page one. They're probably not going to go past half the page down. I still think people look at maybe two or three searches results in the top. I think that maybe they don't make a decision right away, but they don't have time. Maybe at least that's time. But it seems like the users really trust Google's results. But of course, on the other side of, I think you and I know, um, just because you're really good at internet marketing and ranking on Google doesn't mean you're the best service provider. Unfortunately,
Exactly.
it's a lot of times people with really good services, uh, especially in B2B, like what we're talking about, these are all B2B service providers, it's unbelievable. Like they don't have a good website or even barely a website at all. They're just really like going to events or trade shows still. It's crazy. So I still think, yeah, it's true. Like I think a lot of people do search Google for these kind of services because they have no idea where to go, maybe, or their friends don't even know. But yeah, of course, that might not be the best one. It's kind of a mix. You probably should do everything or use Sermondo, but it's tricky because, yeah, but I do think people overly trust search results of Google to be the best service,
Yeah.
right?
I agree 100%. I think especially we work with a lot of logistics firms. We have a lot of logistics firms listed on our website, and sometimes I can't believe those websites. Like you can't even see where they're located. You can't see where the contact information is. It's like a website from the 1990s or something. And some of them offer really great services. They're so good at what they're doing, but what they're doing is not online marketing. And as you said, this is what I always say about Google. You don't necessarily find, I don't know, the best Amazon consultant. You will find the Amazon consultant that is best at doing SEO marketing. So yeah.
Yep.
And I think it's hard to navigate through it because you have to click on every single site. You have to like scrape all the information yourself. It's not really spot on.
Great. Yeah. So hopefully listeners, I guess it's a mix of social and, I think even, well, what did you, well, I don't know. I think you give pretty honest feedback, of course. So your service, do you think they should still go to like search Google? A lot of times people search like brand name reviews, or they're searching for what people say online about the company.
Yeah.
I think that could also be helpful, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% recommend it. Do not only use Sermondo. I mean, it's a good starting point because you have everything right on the spot where they're located, what their services are. But of course, I mean, it's due diligence. As you say, if you want to trust someone with a $10,000 shipment, you should really try to get all the information there is. Of course, there's lots of information on Sermondo, but maybe also check out their website, check out their Facebook page, see what people write there. So just get a whole holistic picture of them.
Makes sense. I guess we're getting towards the end. I'll just add one side for the I've somewhat a little bit today defended the service providers a little bit. I mean, same like Amazon seller, you get the customer giving you a bad feedback when sometimes your listing said that it would be this way. Same with the service provider. I think it's also a responsibility of the seller, the client or person paying the service provider, Amazon seller, whoever. You should also be clear what you want, right? I think what we talk about this a lot with buying from factories, input out equals input in equals input out. If you give clear expectations, clear guidelines, clear what you want, it's also your responsibility, I think, as an Amazon seller to make sure that the service provider knows what you want. I could probably say that for any service there is, we talk about translation or listing optimization or logistics. Of course, there's faults of the service provider for like being late or whatever, but if they should also know the expectations and requirements, right? So
yeah, I think so too. You should, before you even type the first letter into your Google search for your service provider, you should really make up your mind. What do you need? I think this is the first point. Just look at your company's situation. Where are your problems? What is your budget? That's super important. So many people, they're like, I don't know, I want 20 amazing product photos, but I have $150. So it's unlikely that you will find a service provider who will do that for you. So be clear what your budget is. Research if your budget is realistic, because service providers also don't want to be like haggled down to a point where they're not making or almost making any profit of it, they have to live too. They have children, they have dogs,
Yeah.
never know.
Yep.
And
I have children, so I know.
yeah, right. I mean, it's fine. I think a little bit of like haggling, bargaining, that's just normal. That's in people's nature, but don't overdo it. And then also be clear who you want to work with. Do you rather have a one-on-one consultant? Do you want to have a whole agency? There are so many different approaches to that. So yeah, I think people should make up their mind if they're comfortable with working with a service provider who's located in another country, or if they want someone they could go to if something goes wrong. Yeah, so just a lot of questions that you should ask yourself before even diving right into the search.
Okay. So got me thinking of some more ideas. I'm just taking some notes as always for the show notes, which we'll put here. And what I was just thinking is what I do is I recommend this for buying from a factory too. Writing out like a spec sheet, right? And then you can kind of reuse that same document and either attachment or even if it's just text only, you just have this and then just send it to the service provider. I think you'll also probably get, I would believe, better pricing or at least taken more seriously if you're more organized and knowing what you want. I think that's why sometimes maybe service providers don't reply, or same with factories don't reply. Just looking like an educated customer. In America, there's a suit company. I forget the name now, but an educated customer is our best customer. So you should also have a basic idea of the industry a little bit. Of course, you don't have to be the expert in that space, but knowing some of the terms and criteria.
And this is
Sure.
also how you can prevent yourself from getting talked into something that you don't want. Because, I mean, there are also companies, when they can sense that you don't really know what you want, then they will tell you what you want, even though you don't actually want it. And it's like, oh, get our super premium whatever package. And then you're so overwhelmed because you didn't make up your mind first that you're like, okay, whatever, I'll just go for it. And then you end up spending way more money on services that you don't need. So yeah, I think it's better for everyone because expectations are clear and everyone knows where this project is going.
I'm gonna sneak in a last question from even for myself, but like budget, what do you recommend? Being so honest, what you really want to pay, or try to go lower? Or, I don't know. I don't like to bargain, but like sometimes do you really think sending the exact right price, or try to go lower, or go higher and then push down, or try to add in more? I guess it's negotiation tactics, I guess, but I just wonder if you have any data or insights or opinion.
I would, like in general, I would never say my budget is $5,000 and just put a fixed number, but more like get an idea what's the range, what can I afford? Because especially when working with service providers, every service is so individual depending on the size of your business. I don't know what your product is, how far away you are. I mean, if you have to send your products to a product photographer 6,000 kilometers away or something, these are there can always occur extra costs. So make up your mind what the range is, and then name the budget that is in the middle of that range, and then you still have some freedom to bargain a little.
Great. Okay, Kristina. And of course, Sermondo.com. How is the way, and you also have lots of content. Do you want to share other ways people can find more information about you and the company?
So of course, as you said, you can find us on Sermondo.com. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn as well. You can find me there. It's Kristina Mertens. I think you will write the name there. I think it's
Mertens, Mertens.
Yeah.
Martens.
Pretty active there. You can contact me there or shoot an email to support@sermondo.com. You can also find us on Facebook, like all the well-known platforms. We're on there.
Great. It's a pleasure to have you today, Kristina. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much, Mike. I really enjoyed it. And I hope our listeners enjoyed this talk, and I wish you a great day.
and great morning for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.